from the community soon. You have the floor, Ise.
Thank you, Marta. So from the book title you cited, you will have understood that this is the second French talk of the panel. We'll try to make it smooth. I'm presenting on behalf of Europeana, and I'm really grateful to have been invited in this extremely important summit, because the problems that are discussed here are really the problems that are core to the services we try to provide. So we do indeed face a lot of challenges to provide an access to digitized culture online at the scale of Europe. So Europeana, for those of you who would not know about, that's a platform to gather cultural heritage across Europe. So we have a portal, which is the screenshot on the left, and which is the most visible part, and that helps anyone to access books, videos, records, even 3D material from pretty much everywhere in Europe. And everywhere, that means countries, and I will come back to that later, but that also means that we have a lot of partnerships. So currently 2,300 museums, archives, and libraries are providing content to Europeana. So what happens is that individual organizations, individual libraries, individual museums, they team up and form what we call data aggregator, and this data aggregator later on send the data to us. And that actually works well for getting a lot of stuff. And if we describe Europeana as a sort of pipeline through which content gets aggregated together and then redistributed to users, so users being on the bottom right of this slide, so we managed to get a lot of stuff. The problem is that the data that we get come really from all over Europe. So we have items from 36 countries now. The metadata, so the descriptions that we have for these items come in 33 languages. And the metadata is actually the only thing that we have to provide the access to the digitized content. I mean, this content can come in video, it can come in pictures, there are books, but in general, we cannot assume that there is full text. So the descriptions that we receive from our partners, libraries, archives, and museums are really crucial. They are the stuff that we have to build upon. And it's coming from all over the place. So that's one side of the problem. The other side of the problem is that our users are also from everywhere in Europe. So the portal at Europeana.eu comes in 31 languages, and the data access can be from everywhere. And that's where, so I've told that the portal was the most visible part, but it's actually not the only one. Europeana wants to be a platform and is very keen on having anyone in Europe reuse the things that the cultural heritage community is producing. And that means that we provide all this metadata openly, all the links to the digitized content openly, for everyone to build upon. And of course, everyone means that there can be application developers in Latvia or in Germany or wherever who want to access the data and to build their own services on top of it. And that makes it really extremely difficult to anticipate what kind of services we could provide at our level, how we should message the data and serve these different audiences. So I've talked about the diversity of languages and countries. There's also, and that's maybe something which is important for the people in this community, for the technology, the language technology industry. We have a lot of domains represented in Europeana. So we get collections that come from archaeology institutions, picture collections. We've got records. We've got medieval manuscripts. So all this actually creates a huge heterogeneity for the data that we get, and that makes it much harder to apply the language technology tools that are currently available on the market. Actually, for the more technical people in the room, one of the big challenges that we have is that if we want to train tools for fitting certain applications or certain collections, then we have less data available because we cannot use the entire Europeana dataset, because actually this dataset is just a very big amount of very small clusters, and that makes it hard from the technical perspective. started mentioning the diversity of applications as a challenge for us. So we do have the portal, and that means that we need to provide multilingual services in terms of display, in terms of search. So when someone uses the portal to find something about a certain concept or a certain person, it needs to work reasonably well in their own language. But that's not the only application case. Actually, there are almost infinite application cases that could be built on the data. And that means that once we have a solution that could work well for search, it could not work well for other scenarios. Like, for example, if we want to serve humanities researcher, they may not be happy with finding errors in the data, which might have been okay for the portal, because the general end user is less demanding on the data quality than a science researcher. Trying to decompose a bit some of the issues we have, and I will go a bit into some trivial aspects, but I think it's good to let everyone realize the sort of practical issues that we are facing. So the first one, especially for search, is that the typical queries that we receive are very short. So 1 or 2 words. These are what people type in the portal, and they hope to find relevant material. And actually, at this level of shortness, it in fact becomes difficult to anticipate what is the language that people are using. With a long query, if you have a sentence as a search query, then you can guess the language. If you have 1 word, then it becomes more difficult. Even manually, actually, we did some experiment. We looked at the queries, and I don't remember the precise figure, but I think it's something like 30 or 40% of the queries we could not tell the language by looking at it and really having a serious try at it. So that's not easy. And one of the things that doesn't make it easy is the fact that there are plenty of named entities, person, places, which one can say are language specific, but not always. I mean, it's a bit harder to handle in terms of language. So we have tried to make some progress in terms of providing multilingual access. And one of the things that we are really investigating a lot these days is data enrichment. And actually, this is maybe a good opportunity to see the sort of data that we receive. So here is descriptive metadata describing a painting, and that's coming from a museum in the Netherlands. So the data is in Dutch. And somewhere in this data, there's the information that the painter is Jan Vermeer, so the Dutch painter. And what happens is that we only receive this information as 1 string in the original metadata record. And what we try to do is to link it to third-party sources, which have translation of the names. So including all the transliteration. So for example, here we can have an enrichment which is in Chinese. Why not? There are all the variants of the first names, which can be important because depending on the country, the same person can be known with different names and first names. So that's a case in which actually it works quite well. So now that we've enriched this painting with the information about Jan Vermeer in different languages, it makes it better findable in our entire collection. The problem is that multilingual enrichment is hard. So when doing enrichment for 1 language, it's okay. When there are several languages, it can be more difficult. And here I've got an example, the notion of art. One can imagine the concept of art, and it has a label which is art in English. The problem is that very same label, art, in Maltese means earth. And if you don't have enough information to start your enrichment, then you may obtain a lot of errors, enriching everything that has been described with the word art, which could be, of course, art in the first meaning of the label, could actually be indexed using the notion of earth, which of course is completely different. And I've got another one for the Latvian people in the room, India. So India in French is spelled Inde. So here's how it's written. And if you speak Latvian fluently, then you will know that inde also means poison. And guess what happens if we are not careful with the enrichment? So all the records that are somehow about India in the collection could be enriched with poison. And that actually happened. So we had to fix a bit things to avoid really shameful errors. But that's actually quite common. And that's a basic example, but I think it makes it a bit obvious what are the challenges we have to face. So trying to find solution, we exploit data with our partners. So some partners actually have vocabularies that are multilingual, for example, about music instruments, and they send it to us. And we try to pull resources from everywhere, and that's also why we are interacting with the community here. So we are interacting with the cultural heritage sector, trying to find solutions. We also want to identify solutions in the language technology industry, either at the European level, and Spiro's going to present just after me the DSI on machine translation, or at national level. And we have very good collaboration ongoing with the Ministry of Culture in Latvia and Untitled try to apply the solutions that Tatiana has presented earlier this morning to cultural heritage data, and we are looking forward to the results. And we want to be as open as possible. So that also means that all the solutions that we want should be as much as possible open in terms of source of data, because we really need to share these problems. We need to share the solutions to make it better happen for our sector. So thank you very much.